In a world where Mario reigns supreme, our saviour comes in the form of a spiky blue, way over-sexualised hedgehog. Sonic was a gaming icon in the early to mid-90s, being the first of its kind to give the arrogant Italian plumber a run for his stupid fucking coins.
Sonic Adventure franchise marked Sonic's great leap into 3D. But seriously, this was a massive leap for the formula. The Dreamcast was a struggling console, and Sega was putting all its chow eggs in one too-cool-for-school basket. It must have worked too, because Sonic Adventure got a sequel in the form of Sonic Adventure 2 a few years later on the Dreamcast. It was also the last game that Sonic Team worked on for a Sega home console, which can't be a good sign. The game was successful enough to receive a GameCube port a few years later though, titled Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, which is what I'll be playing through today.
And honestly, these games were fucking awesome. There was always a very visceral sense of speed, and as a child, I'd never seen anything like it. But does the low poly blue blur still hold up today? Time to take off those rose-tinted game glasses and find out. The first thing you'll notice when you boot up the game is this soundtrack. Hell yeah, nothing gets me more pumped to race through courses like some Crush Quality rock. Oh, you can play as the dark side.
Sign me the fuck up, let's take over the world!
Oh, it's a tank shooter.
I didn't ask for this. Did you?
What happened to racing through the stages at lightning fast speeds? Well, this game has multiple playable characters, each with their own unique playstyle, something carried over from Sonic Adventure. Hell, it's technically been a part of the franchise since Sonic the Hedgehog 3 on the Genesis and also with Knuckles. I think that's the title of the game.
Okay. Jumping straight into the dark side story, that was a mistake. I can see that now.
We have you on radar. Report cargo status of captured hedgehog aboard. Over.
Right, time to start the game for realsies. And we're in San Francisco? What? Yep, Sonic has been arrested and is currently being transported in a maximum security helicopter above the streets of SF. I like the inclusion of real-world settings, but I don't know that it works with the lore of this game. Everything else is so campy and far removed from reality. Why is the beginning section of the game so grounded?
What the fuck? How can an army of armed military not keep a hedgehog under control for a few seconds? I've been managed to keep a hamster in a cage for the better part 2 years.
Yeah! Whoa, shit! No!
Sonic, you okay there, bud? That landing didn't look too good on the old knees. Not really enrolling in a gymnastics class or something if you want to learn how to fall bear. You want to keep running that fast, you're going to need to take better care of those joints.
I wonder if all rodents can do that.
CJ, stop! Hedgehogs are not rodents!
Uh-oh.
Fuck yes. Now this is what I remember. Boarding down the slopey streets of San Francisco, the music is beyond amazing. One of the best songs in any game, period. The gun military are trailing you through the city, so you need to dispatch the enemies and make it to the call ring. There are plenty of branching paths, and you can come back later with upgrades, further adding to the replayability. Huh. Now, I've never been to San Francisco, but I don't think the city is filled with floating platforms, ramps on the roads, and fucking speed boosts. Maybe it's an advertisement for the city of the future. Never be late again with all these speed boosting ramps. Might break a few bones on your way to work, but they'll be worth it for an extra 20 minutes in bed. The level ends with a really cool chase scene with a gun truck, and a boss fight that does a really good job of utilising Sonic's early abilities. Now we can get to the story. The reason Sonic was arrested is because this other hedgehog named Shadow was released by Eggman in the first mission of the Dark Side story, and is supposed to be the ultimate life form.
Guess that explains how Sonic survived that fall. Hedgehogs must be godlike beings in this universe. Sorry, Big Chiconce featuring Drake. I'll never try and drop you from an extreme height ever again.
The plot of this game is fucking ridiculous. Eggman freed Shadow so he had gathered the Chaos Emeralds in order to point a deadly Lucasfilm copyrighted Death Star laser at the Earth and conquer humanity. To show off the power of the laser, he blows up the moon.
Blows up the moon? Right.
It certainly takes itself a little too seriously in some areas, but the voice acting is so cheesy and the plot itself so outrageous that it honestly works in the game's favour. And just because it's a cheese fest doesn't mean it's bad either. It has some really good emotional moments, and honestly, it can even be pretty engaging at times, especially with the story being told over 2 campaigns. Okay, moving on. Oh, a total scene shift. And now we're in a desert area? I suspect this is supposed to be Angel Island, which introduces Knuckles and a brand new character, Rouge. Yep, you can't get away with that kind of character design these days. They jiggle when she lands? Oh, that's disgusting. This game probably single-handedly started the furry trend. They're arguing over the Master Emerald, Eggman tries to steal it, Knuckles destroys it so he can't use it, and the Knuckles and Rouge portions of the game are spent hunting down the Emerald pieces in far more open areas than in the other types of missions. Like Sonic, these guys get upgrades and can return to levels to find new secrets, do missions, and pick up the things that they missed. The final type of level is the previously mentioned tank shooters, where you play as Tails or Eggman in the Tornado Mark II, or Eggbot, I suppose. I remember hating these levels as a kid and making my little brother do them for me. I have to do my own dirty work now, I'm grown up. And, oh, it's actually nowhere near as bad as I remember. Actually, it's pretty fun. The controls are tight and responsive, and the levels are pretty varied, so I suppose I'll give it a pass. Yes! Finally back as Sonic on Prison Island. Wait, who the fuck designed this place? Prison Island? I think what you're really searching for is post-World War II Pearl Harbor. I don't understand, the other areas in the game seem fairly sensible. The military in this game have some ass-backwards architects working for them. There's also a fourth level, a racing level, where Tails has to catch up to the president.
Of the USA, for real. It's funny, you know, I could have sworn there was a character in this game that could run faster than a car. I just can't quite think of his name. I'll get back to you though.
So Tails and Sonic
That's the one!
find out that Eggman is in space with a giant laser cannon and discover there's rockets in the desert or something. Whatever. The desert levels are frustrating, but the space levels are pretty good, especially when it comes to Eggman. The game experiments with different physics here, but I don't know if it works with the engine already struggling with moving in a straight fucking line.
Okay, well, Hero's story done, beat Shadow, Dark story done, beat Sonic. But which events are actually canon then? You can't have these things happening simultaneously. In the Hero side story, Tails beats Eggman, but Eggman beats Tails in the Dark side. Similar with Sonic and Shadow. Well, they can't happen at the same time, that doesn't make sense. What is this, Schrodinger's space colony?
You unlock the final chapter by beating both stories, and I'm not even going to make a joke here. When I was a kid, this was the most tense and exciting thing I'd ever done in a game. Playing as every character like an all-star team-up, the story ramps up, and the final boss is beyond awesome. I know I'm not supposed to be letting nostalgia cloud my judgment here, so I will say that the shortness of each character's segments, combined with fluid level design, means that it feels like each character's upgrades and abilities are being properly used in a race against time. We defeat Bio-Lizard, Sayonara Shadow, go back to Earth, game over, and it was a pretty sweet ride. But we're not quite done yet.
So, as the title of the game suggests, it's a GameCube port of a Dreamcast game, and it has a little extra mode included. The battle mode.
It's broken. Oh dear God, it's broken. I neglected to mention that the physics engine in this game is held together with blue tack, and it clearly can't stack up in a competitive setting. This is forgivable somewhat in the main story, because you can quickly learn to play the game in a way that doesn't fucking break it. And the added pressure of competition means you're bound to make mistakes that just simply aren't your fault.
I'm done with this. Let's go back and replay some of those awesome speed stages again.
Oh look, there are missions for each level. That's pretty cool. It really increases the amount of playtime you can get out of the game. Most 3D platformers of the time wouldn't give you more than 10 hours of gameplay, so this is pretty impressive. All the missions are the same though. Mission 2 is collect rings, Mission 3 is find the lost Chow, Mission 4 is a time trial, and Mission 5 is hard mode. Some of these missions suit different levels more than others. The 100 rings in the tanks is really frustrating because you'll keep getting hit and losing them. It's hard to dodge attacks, especially when you have a veritable clusterfuck of robots firing away at you like the furries over Rouge. In general though, I think the tank sections really shine here. Hard mode with Tails and Eggman was some of the most fun I had with the game. That's a pretty neat completion bonus too. Unlockable outfits for 2-player mode if you get an A rank on all levels for every character. And if you manage to get the full 180 emblems in the game, you'll unlock Green Hill Zone. A really cool little Easter egg, but it is an ungodly amount of hard to get all the emblems.
Well, guess that's it then. Sonic Adventure 2 was actually pretty good. This review turned out a lot more positive than I initially anticipated. It's aged pretty poorly, but overall, yeah, it's still a lot of fun, and there's a great deal of content in this game too. If you like the look of it, I would definitely recommend picking it up on PS3 or Xbox 360 these days. It's on those marketplaces and for quite a reasonable price too. Overall, I'd give this game a solid 6 out of good. I'm sure there's another part of this game that I'm forgetting. I just can't quite think of what it is.
Fuck the Chow Garden. People have been begging for this back ever since Sonic Heroes about no one with decent gameplay, but I have no idea why. I prefer to call it Medieval Parent Simulator. You have loads of kids but only raise one because you know the rest are going to die of chow polio. There are 9 emblems here to collect, and I shit you not, a good quarter to a third of my time with this game was spent collecting the emblems here, force feeding my chow skills through to try and increase its stats. And the races in karate? They're fucking RNG. You can train your Chow to ungodly levels, but if it falls over a few times during a 4-minute race, you have to start all over again. This race is based on luck and brains. Oh, good, that's my absolute favourite. The same goes for the karate, although it's less prevalent. Chow can dodge attacks, but again, it's just luck. And if you get through the first 4 fights and lose in the 5th, you have to go through the first 4 again. Player input is minimal and it's extremely dull. I have no idea why people like it so much. You can give the Chow animals though, and it kisses them and inherits their traits.
Come on, Big Chicote featuring Drake. Give me a little kiss. Nah, didn't work.